Everybody, right, day 2, 3, I don't know, it depends whenever you're watching, but welcome back. Right, just have some Skittles.
Nom, nom, nom.
Right, sorry about that. Right, I'm back upstairs in this property that I was working out yesterday doing this air conditioning. That's actually the aircon unit, the condenser out there, which you saw me connecting up yesterday. It was that one there. But today's job is all these socket fronts here have all been taken off. So basically I've got to go around. I've put all of them in Wagos now, just temporarily. But what I've got to do is I've got to test. I've reconnected them all up. I've just got to do an installation test, then I can do an end-to-end test. I want to try and get these sockets back on later today if I can, so that's the plan. However, he was mentioning that when the plasterers did this, apparently they cut through the pipe here or something, and he wasn't sure whether they damaged the cabling or not. And just see, I've got to do my installation and then end-to-end test here, and just see if it's actually still a complete ring or not, because I'm not sure. And then all of the light switches everywhere have all been disconnected, and which is why the lights are all permanently on. It's because they've just been literally just put in connectors, so they're just on 24 hours a day now. So I've got to start in the basement and just work my way up and basically just reconnect every single light switch and try and work out where everything, you know, I think it was the painters who took this off, and of course when they took it off they didn't mark anything up, they just literally disconnected it. So that's a world of headaches I'll get to later on. And then the plan of attack in here today is the new board's going to go in down here later on this afternoon. I'm going to try, if I've got time, I'll put a piece of 4x4 galv trunking underneath it around like that. Then this tray can go back on, isolator can go in, and hopefully we can just start, because it just looks a fucking mess. It's starting to get me down now because it just looks, you know, jobs like this just drag and drag and drag, and everything has to be done in a process. So I'll be really pleased once that's on, just to get it done, so it's not, at least you can see some forward progress, you know.
2 hours later.
Right, while I've been off cam, the order for my other fuse board, this one that I was talking about, is going down there. And also that galv trunking. So the idea is that this, I'll try and do it. I'm not sure if I've got time, I'll try and do it. The plan is that galv, that board, like I said earlier, is going to go below, and that galv trunking, what I'm going to try and do is go from the ceiling down. So basically it'll just go all the way around both sides of the consumer units. I've got this 4-pole isolator here with the little bridging kit that it comes with. This little bridging kit. So you bridge out to both the links at the bottom. Your tails then go into there, and that gives you 2 sets of live and 2 sets of neutral tails there. They then go one into the top, then into the galv trunking, one into the bottom. That is the plan. So I was actually just going to put white plastic trunking there, the 4x4 white plastic, but he doesn't want that, he wanted galv. So I said, all right, fine. I'm going to try and do it today. We'll see how we get on for time. Okay, oven and hob. These are the 1 mils, which are going to feed the oven and hob upstairs, but these are going to be switched via the contactor, which is going to be in this second board here. There were a few people saying that, oh, it's bad practice to switch via contactors and stuff. I understand that it's a theory that the contactors do stick if you leave them permanently on, but I mean, I'm sorry, I'm half a Heathrow Terminal 5, all these huge buildings, contactors, that, you know, you can't have huge long runs of cables, so they have little cables like this, and contactors switch the big loads. For Matey Boy and his oven and his hob, it'll be fine, it's not an issue. So those I haven't got the contactors today, that's going to be in a couple of weeks' time, but the other leg of the kitchen ring is actually what I wanted to test, this one here. I'm actually just using my R2 lead, so all I do, I'm just belling out all the cables upstairs, just because that's the thing, when you wire kitchens and stuff, especially if they're complex, when you wire them, you know how you've done it, but when you come back in like a month's time or something, you're like, oh, frog snacks, I can't remember how I've done it. So this is, I spend an hour just going back over what I've done. I mean, you do write on it, like down here I've written on it, but upstairs the plasterers have cut the wires typically, because that's what they do, and I can't remember what's what. So for me, I just spend an hour just belling it all out and just getting it straight in your head again. So I'm actually just using this R2 lead here, and I'll run it upstairs, and I can just go around, boop, 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 and you just remember how you hope you've done it, basically. So I'll leave that there, and let's go upstairs. So the sockets which are out in the living room, which you saw me do this morning, I'm basically doing exactly the same thing here. So I just bridge out all of the sockets here. I just bridge them all out in Wagos, just to make a continuous path, go to the very end, I'll just insulation test it. It just makes sure that the wiring is still, the integrity of it is all still there. Because don't forget, after we've been gone 6 weeks here, every swinging dick's been in here, plasterers, painters, plumbers, you know. So it's just a good way of confirming that all the cabling is still as it should be, but also it just reminds you what, you know, I like to make sure that, okay, I know that it sounds silly, but I like to make sure, okay, that socket goes to there, then it goes to there, then it goes to there, then it goes up there, and you build a mental map in your head of what it's all, where it all goes. And then I just use that R2 Wander lead you saw, and I just do it this way. So I know that is that's a continuous cable now, and then you just move on. So that's the way that I do it. Give me 5 minutes, because I think lunch has just turned up. Some of you were asking about, like, how do you know when you're drilling? How do you know what you're drilling into? All right, I think 90% of this job, you're always going to make mistakes and fuck up, but 90% of this job, honestly, is just using your senses: touch, listening, smelling, you know, sensation, intuition, your gut feeling. It's all of those things, which, you know, regs just seem to ignore all of that. But I don't know, you just get a gut feeling of, you don't get it right every single time, don't get me wrong. But like here, for instance, I know there's nothing on the other side of this wall. I mean, you've got the power cable coming in there, which is the only thing I was wary about. But I know that that power cable comes from the street, so it's going to have to go down. There's no guarantee it's going to go down. I mean, it could do some sort of dramatic U-turn and come up that, but I mean, it's unlikely. But when you're drilling, you just get a feel, you know? That's why when you saw me just then, I wasn't yet. You're not going like fucking driller killer. You just very slowly, and you can feel when you're hitting something that just doesn't feel right on the end of the drill. Like I say, it's just, there's no right or wrong way of doing it. You just sort of experience, you just feel what's right and wrong, you know? I bought the other day this Bosch grinder, right? 12 amp hour batteries are fucking hunk, they're huge. Good though. I bought some 4-inch discs for this grinder, right? And because it's a 4-inch grinder, you buy 400mm discs. But when you put them in, that disc is actually almost new. And one of the things I found was that it's just like it needed to be a tiny bit bigger. And they've thought of that, or I don't know whether I bought the wrong ones, because I then went out and bought 125mm discs, which are just that little bit, they're just a little bit bigger, because that's actually, I've used it once as a brand new disc, but they're just that tiny bit bigger, but I don't actually even know if these fit. Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's better. I do like that quick release system. It is good stuff. I'm still sort of trialing this Bosch stuff. It seems good, seeing as I've come from being a Milwaukee man. But I like the grinder. That's good. That's a solid piece of equipment. And the only other thing with that grinder is because it's got this X-lock, because it's got that X-lock system, it just means you've got to use you can't just use normal grinder discs, you've got to use those ones, which is all right. They're not actually, I think a pack of 10 was like 15 quid. They're not, you know, pound for pound, they're about the same as a normal disc actually. Normally, if you're doing like commercial stuff constantly, they have the big 4-inch, you know, the big chop saws, with the metal discs in, just, it's like a grinder but just on a chop saw, and you can just, you know, just put it in and that's it, done. I haven't got the luxury of that, so you just have to cut one, reclamp it, cut again, reclamp it. You can still get the same result, it just takes twice as long, that's all. But when you don't do steel trunking every day, this is what you get. See, what I was going to do, see this bit of trunking, I'll show you. That goes up on that corner there. I'll cut those tails through this, but what I was going to do is cut away this bottom edge, this corner here, because this piece of trunk is going to butt up to that one. But I think rather than cut the edge away, what I might do, so I was just going to grind it like that, cut that square away, and the other piece of trunking then sits onto that one. But what I might do instead, if I just get a hole saw, I just cut a hole, put some edge protector around the steel, and that way I haven't got it. I can put the lid on it. It's not doing that thing where it's wobbling. I might just do that because there's actually not many cables to pass through that hole. That's the other thing. There's a video coming up in a couple of weeks' time. I said this I said about 2 months ago. We're trialing the idea of using an e-bike for doing a day's work. We haven't done it yet. That is going to be coming up in a few weeks though. But I can't see how it's. Look how much shit you need. How are you supposed to, you know? I don't understand how you're supposed to do this. You've got all your Bosch tools, you've got all of it. How are you supposed to carry? I just can't see the logic. how the fuck do you carry a 3 metre length of steel trunking? You know, you just, it works, but for small items only, you know, just for doing light bulb changing and maybe changing a fuse out. But even little jobs, it's amazing how much stuff you've got to carry. So I don't see, we are going to trial it because I'm interested, you know, there's such a drive for, you know, this eco-mentalists who seem to be fixated on this thing of cycling everywhere. So we'll see. We're going to be trialing it. It'll come up in a few weeks. So you see that now, you get that edging strip. Do you see where I'm going with this? So we put that on. And then I think it's just a neat, rather than cutting that all out, I think that's just going to give a neater. This is what I'm saying. I think it's so beautiful if you could have a job where the customer doesn't, they don't care what it costs, they just want the job done really nicely. And when you've got the time to set up like this and you can, you know, I love it. I think it's beautiful. The job isn't a job anymore, it's enjoyable, you know, and I think that's such an important, fucking snips, hang on 2 minutes. We'll have to survive because I've left my snips upstairs. I think it's so nice when you can just do a job and rather than saying to the customer, oh, you know, you've got to buy this and that's a bit more cost, and the customer goes, what? You know, I think this customer just doesn't care, you know. But when you can do a job like this and it's just, I think it's so nice, you know. This for me is what working for yourself is about. This, exactly. I could do this quite comfortably, you know. Me, the camera guy, just doing this. I think this is about as close to enjoyment for work as you can get. So you see what I mean? That's going to go in there. The other trunking, that should be 4 inches. I haven't actually measured it, it should be. I can actually lose it a little bit on the ceiling, and the other trunk will go along there, and that'll just be where they'll pass through. I think that's a neater finish actually, I'm glad I did it that way. But now I've got to cut the other hole at the top for those meter tail gland, so that gland will actually come out. It is actually about there where I marked it. I know that's a 40mm hole, I can actually put a slightly bigger hole this side. I put a 50mm hole this side. I'll do the same thing again. I find when you drill holes through metal trunking and stuff, do it slow. You see so many people when they're drilling holes and they've just got the drill on second speed full, and they're just bottom, there's just smoke pissing out the side of the trunking and stuff. Don't. Go slowly and just let the bit do the work, and just, you know, and there's just no wear on that at all. It's absolutely fine, but just go slowly. You see people and they're going like fucking Rambo on the end of the drill, and then after like 2 or 3 cuts, the bit's just completely burnt out. All right, that's the bottom edge. So that there will be the top edge. I've cut the back out because you'll see, in fact I'll show you. I've got to file it off, but that's the back. I've had to cut the back out to fit over that supply cable there like that. That'll sit back in there like that over there. It's still rigid, but I actually forgot about that, so I've had to cut around it. There's nothing else I can do. So anyway, that will sit sort of there, and that piece goes along there. And then on the bottom of the fuse board, you've got those knockouts just there, where the cables will go up into the board. So what I've done, I just offered it up. I don't know how well you can actually see that in the darkness, but there's those all. I just put a permanent marker on each of the dots. Most of them are actually 20mm holes, but I'm going to cheat and use 22mm just to give me a bit of wiggle room. That's the plan, Stan. This will make sense in a minute. It's probably not making a lot of sense at the moment.
20 minutes later.
That is what we've got. So that's that offered up to the base there. I've got to put some grommets in it because I've got grommets in that top section, but I've got to put some in the bottom there. But that's the idea. So that's what you'll see there, and there's just enough room at the top for the cover. The cover should just fit between that gap, and it should just fit on nice and snug. Right, I had to go off cam there for a minute just because I had to get on with this because it's just getting dark and we're running out of time. That switch is now in. I've run out of the edging for this trunking. I'll take this one off and I'll show you. I've got to put some edging strip in there. I've run out, and there's another set of tails that have got to come down here to go into this board. But for the second, that can wait. I just want to get this cover on. Eventually, those tails will actually come out, and they'll go down through the top rather than go through the top of the board. I think it's rather than going this way because I think it's a bit neater. I've just taken this one off just to show you. So that was the edging I was on about. So it'll just come through there. And I've got to actually put, again, I've run out of 20mm stuffing, there's 20mm grommets. So I've got to put, I had 32s, but I've got to put 20s in. I can do that in the morning though. That's not an issue. I can sort that tomorrow. I'm starting to flag now, so I'll just stop while I'm ahead. But you get the idea. That was the dual switch I was on about. So there will be another set of tails coming out of there, and they'll just come down here. through there and then up through the 32mm there into the isolator there. So 2 minutes, let me get that back on. Anyway, I'm going home, I'm tired. All the links are coming up on the screen now. I'll see you in a week. Thank you very much for watching. See you later.